Hello, welcome to the Eagle6 Airsoft question and answers show. This is episode 1 and it's a brand new format for us, so any feedback is always appreciated, negative or positive. And today we're going to be going over some questions that have been posed by you, either in the Facebook post that we did or the Instagram post, which reminds me, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and like us on there, so thank you very much. And so we're going to be going over I think 5 questions in this format, so and obviously for future episodes, obviously if this goes well and is received well, then feel free to post in the comments below your questions for next week. So I'm aiming to film this today, today on Sunday. It's in my own time, so obviously any subscriptions and likes would be much appreciated, and go easy on me. So it is the first time I've actually been on face on the camera, I think, actually, all those videos that we've done over the years. Normally it's just my hands, so taking apart guns. So I guess a little bit about me. I'm the owner of Eagle6 Airsoft and the head tech here as well. No official video training or anything like that. If there's an excessive amount of ums and ahs, I apologise. I'm just going to try and get through this. Why am I doing this? I feel like, one, I'd like to obviously promote the YouTube channel. More subscribers would be great. But two, we've been doing this years now. So I've been in airsoft for 14 odd years. I think 5 or 6 of those was playing. Then I dropped out to do more. As gun techs will be able to attest to, you find yourself fixing more and more guns and stuff, and you end up going to a game and you end up spending most of the time in a car park fixing people's stuff. So in the end, and a lot of my friends as well, sort of the group that I was going with, they sort of moved out of it as people sort of go in and out in airsoft over a period of time. And so it's eventually, I found myself just sort of doing gun tech mostly. Back in the day when I was playing, I was very much in the lookout for something more from airsoft, from an airsoft gun. The guns that I had, they weren't really, they were good, so I had some different brand guns. I think I had a cart and, so as everyone does, sort of TM, P90, a few other different ones, and I sort of went through all of them, and I found myself in a position where I wanted the next best thing. So same as everybody, when you're sort of looking for that high-end premium thing, I was looking at PTW, and at the time, this was 9 years ago now, can't believe it's that long. TM was just on the edge of releasing what they called their next generation gun, so where they take a look at because they obviously created the original airsoft gun, which everybody copied, and now obviously are starting to go their own way, but that was in essence we'll call that the first generation of airsoft gun. So then they made a list of all the things that were wrong with airsoft guns, and then they set out as engineers to correct and fix that in their next generation series of guns, and that caught my eye, just from a sort of technical point of view, mechanical point of view. I was like, I always appreciate the fact that if somebody's fixed things or improved things about airsoft guns, if they're taking them to that next level, which is in essence what gun techs do, or attempt to do, is to provide you that sort of that small edge and sometimes big edges, and improvements on guns and stuff, and for a manufacturer to sort of take the old design and then a whole new thing was really intrigued me. And then obviously I got to test it and just pretty much fell in love with it, so it's everything it was offering, the simulated recoil for a lot more immersion into the sport, and then obviously the improvements internally, I was just it was brilliant. At the time, obviously, there was no such thing as Eagle6 Airsoft other than the team that was playing, and then decided to just because I was gun teching on it, and at the time there was basically no one else gun teching on it at all, and you know, it was a lot of people were asking questions, a lot of people were asking help, and I wanted to see this platform succeed, you know, because as we all do, we get attached to these things, you know, because it's our gun, you know. And you often see it on the forums when people come on and they're absolutely bigging up their own gun because it's their own gun, you know. We're attached to it, you know, and they will not have you say anything bad about it, you know. So I was on the forums back in the day. It's hard to imagine forums, isn't it, you know? So nowadays, but they did exist previously, so that's where Airsoft used to be. So obviously on these forums and stuff, and yeah, I was basically, a lot of people are starting to adopt this platform, and and obviously I'd sort of done a tutorial video on how to sort of strip it down, and everyone was asking the questions like, how do we upgrade these? And I sort of looked at it and thought nobody would ever adopt this platform without support. Yeah, so it was never going to be a popular or popular as normal M4 if there aren't parts for it, if there aren't, you know, customizations for it, if people don't know how to do it. So if there's no sort of knowledge out there, then nobody's going to attempt to do it. And ultimately, if you can't upgrade these things, a bit of what happened with the AA-12 shotguns, you know, sort of when they come out, people were sort of stumped a little bit, you know, so for the most part, and then they were just like, oh well, you know, if I can't get more than 240 FPS, I'm you know, getting rid of it, because sometimes there's especially a sort of a carryover from the States, you know, if a gun isn't powerful, it's not good, you know, so which is a bit of a weird thing, especially when it comes to TM, so because obviously their hop units are so amazing, and we all know now that as gun teching's moved on a bit, you know, from the olden days and stuff, and there's more knowledge out there that the hop unit is what gives the majority of the backspin, and therefore the majority of the range, yeah, so and we usually use that extra power to allow us to use the heavier ammo, yeah, so and get decent speed to target, so and it's not necessarily the power alone that creates the range, so yeah, they got a bit slated and stuff because those are the low power on them, so it's you know, figured out a way basically to upgrade it, first with the cut down spring, as pretty much everyone was doing, and then I thought, well, you know, the gun actually uses a shorter spring that's in there, so it's actually a shorter compressed length and a shorter overall length, and then I thought, well, you know, I'm not the engineer, so, you know, none of us gun techs are, you know, pretty much for the most part, you know, we're all, you know, like mechanics working on guns, you know, or cars, that for that matter, you know, we're not the engineer that's sat at Volkswagen, yeah, sitting there with his CAD programs making it, you know, well, that's an engineer, yeah, so we're technicians, gun techs, whatever you like to call it, you know, and some of us may well have a lot of qualifications, but let's face it, if we were at that level, yeah, we would be working for Tokyo Murray, yeah, so CAD designing some stuff, so the way I figure is that it is a shorter spring compressed, so it must be more efficient, surely, if there is a particular bespoke spring for it. So I went out and worked with a manufacturer to actually create the design of the spring, went through quite extensive testing with it, and eventually we came out with our Eagle6 range of springs, and then just because I've got like an IT background, I built a website to facilitate basically the selling of it, and thus Eagle6 was formed in a very small way. So yeah, apologies for the lengthy introduction, but suffice to say, been gun teching for yeah, so probably 12 years of the overall 14, I guess, and obviously at a professional level, so therefore, you know, to the standard where you've got to, you know, support the customer with comebacks and stuff, where we're doing them sort of, you know, on a daily basis, which is, you know, we'll call it the bedroom techs and stuff, just they aren't working on that level, you know, and that's arguably the difference between sort of professional and sort of, you know, the at-home tech. Not to say that I'm, you know, crazy better than everyone else, if you know what I mean. Just, you know, I'm trying to put this video out here and try and help you guys, if I can, with the knowledge that I know at this point. And I personally, you know, I say at this point because we're always learning as gun techs, and if the gun tech isn't, and he comes across and says to you that he is the best and knows everything, you know, in a nutshell, bollocks. So and you know, talking out of his arse. So it's simply don't, you know, there's always more to learn. Yeah, so you know, so the same as anything when you're starting as a car mechanic, you know. So just because you go and do a course, if you know what I mean, you come out of it, doesn't necessarily mean you've got the years of experience for working on all those things. And even then, my previous job, we met I'd meet engineers that they've been doing it for so long, like 20 years, and they're at a point where they're just not willing to learn anything new anymore, you know. So ultimately somebody new would come in, and they'd be doing a better job, simply because they had an open mind that was willing to take on board information and then progress and you know, really try hard to learn as much as they can, you know. So yeah, there's always going to be different gun techs out there. Like I say, not saying I'm the best at all. I'm just happy to give up my time here to try and answer as many questions as I can to the best of my knowledge. Okay, so on to the first question then. I feel like I should have got a drink. I've been talking a lot. So first question was, MOSFETs on the next generation recoil. So you may, apologies if some of these questions are next gen TM recoil focused, because you know, I've so much, you know, years of experience, you know, is arguably the first sort of, you know, on the scene in that, and still here, yeah. You know, working hard at you know, helping out the recoil community. So yeah, apologies if you know, some of them are sort of biased that direction, but no, I'm not apologising for knowledge. It's all good. Learn it. So so MOSFETs on the next gen TM recoils. So specifically the M4, the 416, the SCAR, the 417. All have similar gearboxes, the only difference being maybe the 416C, the SOCOM, M4 and the SCAR series are front wide. Okay, so slightly different front wiring as well. So so obviously you sort of have to customize per gun. So obviously front wide for those, and then a rear wide thing for that. And the actual gearbox itself is called the new version 2. Because obviously it's next generation, it was meant to be an improvement on the original V2, and the problem is it starts to get quite complicated with the next gens. It's almost like you should really buy per gun for them, rather than just, you know, getting for V2, because the SCAR, as example, is sort of a little bit of a cross between you know, the sort of the new V1, which was the AK, and G36, and the new V2, which is the M4 next gen recoil, so and 416. So yes, so this MOSFET is specifically for this gun. So the question was, what are the differences between the MK0 MOSFET? So these are the 3 ones that are on the market at the moment. So there is a 4th, so but I'm not going to go over that other one. So so the MK0 MOSFET, which is a trigger-based MOSFET, as opposed to a normal, you know, fit into the rear, basic, dumb, we'll call it. So a sort of MOSFET is designed to go inside the gearbox and thus save you space. So that frees up all the rest of the gun, if you know what I mean, for just a couple of wires coming out and battery space. So which is why they're so good. Not to mention the fact that they're computer controlled, and they usually bring cycle completion and various programmable features, and they remove the mechanical assembly, which is, you know, was it 1990 TM made the first gun, so FAMAS I think it was, and you know, so you know what, yeah, nearly what, 28 years now. Jesus. So yeah, old design for which is, you know, the mechanical assembly, and it still really hasn't changed until sort of these recent years, when you're starting to get manufacturers like G&G pushing you know, the trigger MOSFETs, you know, from a factory thing. So basically it's designed to sort of remove that mechanical assembly and give you an instant trigger response with no possibility of any jamming whatsoever, because you try to do something and then the mechanical assembly, which is sort of pre-timed, you know, sort of, you know, a set timing based on voltage, and there's nothing really you can do to that. And if you interrupt that or mess with that, that's when you get things like lockups and stuff like that. So you remove that possibility by fitting one of these trigger MOSFET units. So the four on the market are the Big Out DTM N, so the MK0 from Prototype Airsoft, and the BTC Spectre, which everyone will have heard of, and the Gate Titan, which has been announced for a release on November 8th, and obviously will soon be hitting the market. So the Gate Titan's a hard one, because for some reason, God knows why, I wasn't chosen to have one of the prototypes. So unfortunately, I can't give you some hands-on for it. But obviously, you know, we're our dealer of Gate, so we'll be able to have them in stock sooner or later. So and then be able to give you better feedback then, possibly an installation video, as we normally do. So we've got so many installation videos and stuff on our channel. So we'll be able to then you know, give you a sort of more accurate thing. But obviously, we can go over the paper features of that, as opposed to the on-hand experience, which we'll be able to, or actual experience, we'll be able to tell you for all of the other ones. Yeah, okay. So because sometimes something on paper looks fantastic, but when you actually get to it and get the product, it's not. Yeah. So MK0. Yeah. So so the DTMN from Big Out, for a long time that was our only choice. So we had to fit it, because I would rather give people the performance benefits from a MOSFET trigger unit and removing the mechanical assembly than not. Okay, so unfortunately, it was an okay unit. The switches were very vulnerable, and often would be broken by actual customers, yeah, or even us. You know, oh, hands up, yeah. So shock. Sometimes we make mistakes. Own up to it if you do, yeah. So we're all human, yeah. Shit happens sometimes, and it's you know, it's on us when we fall down, yeah, to get back up again and learn from it. That's the whole point. So ignoring the fact that you've made a mistake potentially is ridiculous. So sometimes those switches get knocked and broken. Also, the ground switch that's on that particular one was very difficult to solder. The pad that you solder to was tiny. After repeated installs and stuff like that, eventually the pad was sort of like semi-destroyed, and you just yeah, had some design faults and stuff. But my biggest issue with the Big Out DTM N was the complete and utter lack of support from Big Out. So basically, i.e. if you sent it back, it was borderline impossible to even get it repaired, like they said on their website, let alone for them to do all that, yeah, off their own back under warranty, yeah. So because, you know, you send a product out into the world, whatever that product is, once you give it to customers, yeah, all bets are off. You have to imagine that anything is potentially possible. Now, I know that shouldn't have to be the manufacturer's fault. The customer should, in theory, if he breaks it, pay for it, yeah. But it doesn't work like that in retail, yeah. So you know, a customer breaks it, he's instantly going to be looking for a replacement or a repair on his potentially £150 purchase, yeah. So regardless of whether he's broken it or not. So that's just retail. So and life and stuff. So, and unfortunately, the Big Out team, they wouldn't respond to us in terms of emails. I know they're in Japan, you know, language barrier and all that, but yeah. And basically, in the end, I still think the 5 units that we've sent off haven't even come back. So it's just, yeah, from being even repaired and stuff. So yeah, it's and I think eventually they charged us something or other. So these were customer returns that ultimately we've been charged something like 100 quid, I think, to actually get repaired and stuff. So yeah, pain in the ass. So we're ignore DTM. So now that there are better options, there's absolutely no reason, yeah, 100, even though we sell it, yeah, absolutely no reason to buy it. Yeah, do not get it. Yeah, so there's just better MOSFETs out there. Okay, so the next one, if we're going in terms of the order, we would probably get them. Is that the MK0? So this came out at a time that there was a massive drought for obviously Spectre. So you know, we've got a company here seeing potential opening in the market for a product, and yeah. Me as a gun tech, you know, I'm always grateful for manufacturers investing time and money in bringing a product to life that's going to improve the recall community and also obviously help customers out, yeah, in terms of, because that's what it did. It filled a gap and gave people an option, and not only that, a cheaper option, so to save some money. So let's look at the features then. So it offers all the sort of same things as sort of any trigger MOSFET. Okay, so it's going to do the cycle completion. It's going to do, obviously, being a MOSFET, it's going to give you that sort of 20% efficiency boost, you know, in overall efficiency, rate of fire, you know, trigger response, that kind of thing. It's got active braking built in. You've got the ability to program it, so you can go into a programming mode. You know, whenever it comes to trigger programming, because it doesn't have any sort of Bluetooth or any sort of visual programming on it, it can be quite, you know, sort of complicated to do that. You know, so you know, you're looking at a piece sheet, and then you've got to print off the sheet. You know, so it's actually quite difficult to get the manual. So you have to go on their website and then download it. So you know, in theory, it should be sort of, you know, each retailer should be sort of dishing that out, you know, so. I think there might have been one in the box possibly, so I'm sure we did an unboxing video at some point. So basically, yeah, you got to sort of put it into full auto while holding down the trigger, plug the battery in, and then you got to go through all the different modes and stuff. So you put it into like 5, and then you have to choose an option, then you have to put it into semi, then you have to put it back again and think, you know, I'm boring you just talking about it. So it's quite complicated, and I know there's not technically an easier way, and you know, we're all gun techs, we can figure this out. So or you know, customers, we've all got brains, so we can, you know, it can be done and programmed, but the moment you make a mistake, this is the problem with non-visual programming. You know, where are you at? You know, how do you know what is actually being programmed into it? Because there's no sort of visual thing to say, oh no, I've put that into the wrong mode. You know, you're just guessing. So then what you have to do is kind of use the gun and think, what is the auto completion on, or is it not on, or is the active brake, do I like that, or you know, and you sort of, you know, using like anecdotal testing, you know, to kind of, you know, figure it out. And you know, if we're looking at talking about the benefits of each of these, you know, units and stuff like that, that's arguably not, you know, it's a downside if you think about it. So even though it's technically programmable, not having the visual programming compared to other units which do have the visual programming is not as good. Yeah, so from that point of view, the programming, yeah, it could be improved. Yeah, it could have some form of visual programming on it, so which would improve it as a product. But then, would it increase the price? So these are things to think about when they're marketing a particular product. They're probably going for a certain price point, and anything they do extra, you know, is potentially either a different product, you know, or a next level up product. You know, so or if it keeps on the same product, it's going to increase the price. So yeah, it could, you know, so it doesn't have the thing. You've got to actually obviously use trigger pulls to program it. But yeah, it's got all the other things. So you can then choose like different fire modes, so single shot, you know, burst fire. The way it works is it basically it's always in single shot, but full auto mode is simply continuous single shot. So the way that the auto completion works. So basically you can choose sort of any number of things to put in these modes. I think my biggest issue was that single shot. I'm trying to remember now. So single shot mode had different features than full auto mode. I'm trying to remember it now. So what are the options? I should bloody go get it. The instructions. So there's in the full auto mode, in the single shot mode, I think you can set pre-cocking, something like that, right? So and you can have so the single shot mode and the pre-cocking. Pre-cocking is a fantastic feature, by the way. So pre-cocking is basically as soon as you finish firing a shot, the computer just retracts to a preset amount which is customizable, position, and then holds the piston there ready to be fired. So the pre-cocking requires the anti-reversal latch in, okay, to obviously hold it physically back. Otherwise, you're going to have just a wind back noise every single time. So that pre-cocking is by far much quicker than the 20% boost and the basic rate of sort of increases that you get from having a MOSFET, an electronic trigger and stuff. That pre-cocking does increase your trigger response, to the point where you can basically take the trigger and just go like that, firing shots. I mean, not that I'd encourage that, in a game, but yeah, basically just for testing point of view, you can just go like that, and you're never jamming it, never locking up the gun. It's amazing thing what those trigger MOSFETs actually bring to these guns and stuff, which is why the future is eventually manufacturers all offering this on their premium guns or middle level guns and stuff. So because it's just a better gun, so obviously the pre-cocking is on the single shot, but there's no pre-cocking option on the full auto, right? So say for instance you're building, this is like weird worst case, a DMR build or something like that. So when you're in full auto, you can't set up that pre-cocking option, so because you've got rate of fire specific options, and in single shot you've got things, because the way they thought about it is that they've kind of made a product the way they wanted to make a product, so rather than possibly how they should make a product. So basically it offers sort of, I think that could be improved. So, and I'll talk about in the BTC and how they do it in a little bit, but there's potentially a better way, right? But all otherwise in the rate of fire section, they're going to then offer things, more specific options to rate of fire, like maybe rate of fire control. So now recoil guns, next gen recoils, they just aren't like normal AEGs. You're not going to go for stupid rate of fire builds and stuff. They're an immersive gun, so that they're designed to take you and not destroy your shoulder with crazy recoil. So oh my god, my arm hurts after that, it's amazing recoil. No, it's just to kind of get you while you're in the game, mentally, more immersed into what you're doing. So the gun's shaking a little bit, the clack is going a bit, it's hammering away and it's making noise and stuff, and you're watching this guy run across there and you're getting into it more. And that's the whole point of these sort of next gen recoil ones, is to just kind of immerse you a bit, and because of that they have a much more laboured and the whole recoil system, much more laboured rate of fire on them. So you wouldn't necessarily want to be sort of going above 16 or 17 on these recoils. You maybe potentially can, maybe with mods and stuff like that, but eventually if you sort of go too much, it's just going to start eating itself internally, and it just sounds shit as well. So sorry YouTube swearing, but so it's not in my mind that the right thing. And I know you do get fast rate of fire real steel guns and the whole it's not real steel, it's airsoft, but it just is designed to be sort of a more sort of sort of type thing, like a machine gun, a real machine gun, type thing. So the rate of fire option is really good, because the an absolute benefit for the MK0 is it does seem to produce a much higher rate of fire than a BTC out of the box. It just after we've done multiple builds now, 40 or something, it's with every single one we always picked it up and done the testing, and at the end of during the testing we'd always turn around and go, that's quick, that is quick, so I think it might be something to do possibly with the microcontrollers or whatever they use being quite high quality, But basically, yeah, if it produces a really good rate of fire and a great result in terms of performance, you know. So that is definitely a benefit of the MK0. So you know, to the point where we would often have to put the rate of fire control on to bring it sort of down below sort of the 15 and 16 and stuff, you know. And you know, it's always great when you do a really nice shim job on a gun, and you take in sort of, you know, and you sort of originally start off at I don't know, 12 rounds a second, 13 rounds a second stock, and you do your really great shim job. Then you put one of these in MK0s, and you know, you turn it around and it's, you know, 17 rounds a second. You think, Christ, you know, did I get all those gains? Yeah, just from basically a combination of one product and knowledge, you know. So you know, amazing. So when you get those sort of gains and can then pass them on to the customer, and the customer, you know, especially if they're here, you know, you can obviously see it on their face, you know, it's amazing. So experience. So you know, seeing them obviously appreciate that. So yeah, so that's a really great highlight. Obviously with MK0 you're going to get the incredibly fast trigger response because it's got an electric trigger that senses the movement. I've never seen any switches break on them on the MK0 at all. So, you know, fair play. You know, they've got decent quality switches on them. So so you know, it's nothing to really worry about on the front from that. So, and obviously we've you know, been installing them for quite a while now, so we can obviously provide pretty accurate results on that front. Yeah, so I mean, I'll talk about BTC and their trigger switches later and stuff. So, but yeah, it's obviously exceptionally quick trigger response, you know, that you normally get with anything. So in that regard, it's the same as all the others. So yeah, yeah, it's really great in terms of that. So so basically the MK0 has had its troubles. Okay, so I think they're on 3rd generation batch run now, and they're still dishing them out with manufacturing faults. Okay, so one of them being the wire wasn't quite soldered properly in between two of the MOSFETs. PIC chips or whatever they're called, you know, the actual, you know, chips that are on there. So sometimes a combination of heat and you know, stress on the actual gun, maybe a lockup or something like that, can cause the heat, and then suddenly that then breaks the solder joint on this thing, and the wire just comes off, and then you got obviously a dead gun. So that happened. It's about 4 returns we had because of that. So and therefore, you know, obviously we then have to do the free, you know, labour for the customer, and then pay for the shipping back and stuff like that. Not to mention the upset customer. So you know, because they were probably in mid-game and their thing has failed, yeah, because of a product that was dished out, you know. So, and it shouldn't have been that case. So so yeah, so that was a problem. The switch position, that was a big problem and stuff. So basically, whenever you do one of these trigger MOSFETs, always use small shims, so rather than the big shims, so there's no interference with the actual switch that detects the sensor. Oh my god, this is going to be, how am I going to do 5 questions? I've been talking forever. So yeah, so the switch senses the sector gear as it cycles round, and unfortunately, because of the angle possibly, or the position that this the switch was in, it was on the nose, really on the edge in terms of how it actually detected it. So unfortunately, what we do is obviously we build the gun, it was working, then we send it out, and the damn thing come back again, firing full auto continuously. And it's firing full auto continuously, not because it's short circuited. You know, it's because the actual sensor can't stop and detect when it's, you know, done a complete cycle. So basically, it just keeps going forever, hoping that this sensor gets tripped and then it does a single shot. So yeah, that was an issue. So the solution to that particular one, just in case you don't know, so was twofold. One of them was we would actually, ironically as well, cut a small piece of cardboard out of the actual box for the MK0, and then we would glue that on the underside of the switch. Okay. And what it's doing is raising up, yeah, the actual switch, just in case, by about I don't know, 0.2 mil, maybe 0.3, however thick this card is, and then that basically raises it ever so slightly over it potentially catching on shims, or whatever, you know, might be potentially, you know, catching it. and therefore slowing its operation or stopping its operation. And also remember, once you've built these things, it's hard to tell if it's actually on what's actually going on, because you have to use your head as opposed to eyes. Yeah. So the second part was to raise it up slightly. Okay. So the way we do that is with a small needle file, and if you look at the top of the board, there's a small join between the two things. What we found was occasionally there was sort of a difference between the actual boards themselves. So one would be manufactured one way, another would be manufactured another, and there was this ever so slight sort of subtle difference between the two. So we'd file down this joining pillar, we'll call it, and also a little bit of the actual board itself, and then we'd also file the top of the board, which is in the leg that goes over, and we file that bit. So basically we're trying to raise up, we're not talking a lot here, we're just talking, remember it's borderline working for 80% of installs, right? It's just those sort of 20 and the failures, yeah. So that we're trying to never happen again, So what we want is to ever so slightly, just raise it up and prevent it just possibly sitting too low on those occasional failures, yeah. So i.e. make it a bit more consistent in how it fits, yeah. So raised it up, and from now onwards we were never getting any single problem with the MK0. So basically, unless you're buying it and doing a home installation, in which case I've told you the fix for it, and I'd argue if you can't apply that fix, you probably shouldn't be doing it, right? Anyway, so really it should be a non-issue buying an MK0 going forward. However, I have been told by the manufacturers that they are doing a 4th gen new batch that has a slightly raised position, okay, on that switch. So and obviously they've resoldered those wires that come off. So in theory, going forward, with the latest ones, this should be a complete non-issue, and we're hoping now that they've done all the in-house testing this time, and they've absolutely dialed in and really producing a sort of a product that works out of the box as it should, yeah. So because the amount of hours I lost, if you know what I mean, sort of really dialing in and figuring this out, especially when it's like you can't see it and stuff, and because obviously we dished out so many builds, and then for them to to get that 20% coming, well, I think it's more than that, probably like 40% failure rate is high. So it was a lot of work for us, and it put our workshop back a lot. So but yeah, it's in the past now, we're moving on. So and the product itself for 100 I think it's 120, it's cheaper than what the DTM is, and once the actual installation is done and it's working fine, yeah, as long as you're okay with the trigger programming, it is an absolutely brilliant and awesome performing unit. Okay, so you're getting that fast trigger response, you're getting the high rate of fire, you're getting the just the fact that you're removing the mechanical switch assembly, and it's doing it all for arguably the almost cheapest price out of all of them, yeah. So 120, obviously if you're not paying VAT, 100. So it's a great unit, and especially if you're on a budget, okay. And obviously if we're installing it, then you don't have to worry about any of the headaches of actually getting it installed, yeah. So we just have to do that. So MK0, fantastic unit for the money. Just bear in mind that you might have to do a little bit of extra work on the actual installation if you do it yourself, okay. But otherwise, great unit. So that's the MK0. Next up, BTC. Oh, the famous BTC. So why they have slow production, we can all wonder and guess all day long. I'm just grateful to the guy that he produced such a great unit, and he's been doing it for so long now. So because those people that did manage to actually get one on one of the batches that sort of only come out like once a year, it's and obviously remember back in the day, he used to do like 200 and they share it out between all the retailers, you know, so not even to the retailers, you sell to the public, and as retailers we couldn't even get any, you know, so it's just mental situation. So because all the resellers would just buy up all the stocks, you know, all the people just buying to sell and make a profit, and then us as retailers couldn't get any to fit in our customer builds, you know, so it's a nightmare. So but luck, you know, thankfully now retailers are able to order in decent amount, and obviously with Gate Titan coming out, that's going to massively impact both the prices of BTC and the fact that people, if the prices come down, all the people that are buying, you know, shops that have never ever worked on a next gen recoil before, just buying up, you know, the next gen, you know, recoil MOSFETs simply to sell on, yeah, are going to buy 100 and then realise they're not going to sell any. So you know, or going to sell them much slower. So therefore, or to sell them quicker, they're going to have to drop down the prices. So they're going to find that the bottom is going to fall out of that, and what's great for me and other gun techs in the next gen sort of community is we will have a much more ready supply of BTC. Yay! Because the BTC is a great product. You know, you will hear about the occasional failure, but let's be honest, most of them are probably customer caused, yeah? So, you know, it's firing full auto, I don't know how it got short circuited, must be a faulty unit, yeah, bollocks. So, yeah, something happens in a short out, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, right? So, yeah, it's a really great unit. It's, to talk about the features, it's got everything the BTC has, so the MK0 has got, okay? So let's talk about, otherwise we're going to be here all night. Whoa. Right. So it's got everything the MK0 has got, except, and I was actually worried about whether I'd be able to talk about anything. Oh my god. So, gosh. Right. So it's got everything the MK0 has got, except that it has visual programming, so which is an absolute brilliant thing when it works. Yeah. So and this is the problem, is that you can get the occasional one that the Bluetooth doesn't work on. So we always recommend you test the BTCs before you install them, okay? So you're not guessing, okay? You're using knowledge, okay? So an actual testing to work out whether yours is faulty or not, yeah? So if it works beforehand, you put it in the gun and it doesn't work, either it's a weak, you know, chip that's on there, or your gun's just blocking it. So in which case, is it really faulty, yeah? So they've done it weak for God knows why, but apparently it's to stop people being too far away and then hacking, yeah, which is a load of crap, yeah. So you know, who's gonna have the time to bother doing that? I mean, oh my god, no one, yeah. So plus you can put a password on it, so if you're really worried. So you know, really it'd be nice to see it with a stronger Bluetooth unit, okay? Because the Bluetooth functionality is fantastic. You can download it on Android, and download it on iOS, and you just quickly load it up, go to the programming, choose your settings, press send, sends to it, programmed, yeah, so simple. And then you can actually see it programmed. Yes, you can see your settings. It says you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, so you know what your settings are, yeah. So there's no guesswork, it's just right there, you can see it all. So it's more expensive, the BTC, but wow, what a convenience that you get from that, you know. So, and that is great. Not to mention the fact that you can see voltage use, you know. So if you've over-shimmed it too much and it keeps going in the red, whoa, you know, how about you stop pulling the trigger? Yeah, go back and fix it. So you know, that is great. You know, it's got obviously the digital fuses, same as what the MK0's got. So yeah, it's just got all these sort of visual things. You've even got some sensor tests on there, so which a lot of people don't know about. But you can go in this diagnostic and you can actually test all the switches to see if all of them are working. So so that is great, and the fact you can get it all on there. So I love the visual programming of it. So it takes all the guesswork out. And like I say, with the MK0, I had a customer the other day saying, "Oh, my gun stopped working. It's not doing this." It's I'm like, "All right, well, can you do me a favor? Just try like resetting it." You know, I gave them the reset instructions for the MK0. You know, so lengthy, and then he obviously went through them, reset it. Everything was working fine again. So obviously, the problem with the MK0 is you can accidentally, you know, be in full auto and you plug a battery in and you start, you know, pulling the trigger and you don't realise, you know, it's randomly beeping at you and you're like, why is it beeping? And you forget that actually you're in a programming mode, and now you've gone and just put a whole bunch of things in, because obviously not got the visual program, you can't actually see that. So and therefore, you know, you stick it in a wrong setting and it starts doing weird things. So so it's got the visual programming. It's got a slightly different trigger board now. They've redone it with the Mark II, and it's got a slightly different how the trigger presses against it. It's a flat surface with a small flat trigger button, on it. And because it's a hard surface like that, and you're actually button up the trigger against that, it gives it a nice positive, like solid feel as you're actually pulling the trigger back. So obviously, as you're sort of, you know, firing away and stuff, I just feel like, and maybe it's just my personal point of view, but that feels nice, especially when you combine it with like a flat trigger, you know, that's obviously slightly quicker, especially if it's adjustable and stuff, and you can really just get this like solid, quick, you know, thing. And I feel like that is worth mentioning as a potential benefit, okay? Because yeah, it feels a little bit. I mean, obviously that's a personal thing, but yeah, I feel like that's a little bit better and more positive in how that feels. So so that's definitely a benefit of that. The other one would be, we touched on this before with the MK0, programming modes. Safe, single shot and full auto are all the same on BTC, okay? All the settings are all the same and they're all equally customizable, okay? So what you can do is go through and you can individually, if you want to, you can do single shot on all three modes, and basically whatever position the fire selector's in, it's going to do single shot with precocking, yeah? So in all of those modes, because it's all identical. So and that's the difference in MK0. You've got these different ones for single shot, different ones for full auto, whereas BTC just goes ahead and just goes same, yeah, and then you can basically just choose whatever the hell you want on that setting. So so I can see sort of why from MK0 they're trying to sort of take a little bit of the complication out by offering a little less, you know, making it look less complicated. You know, if you don't have too many options, there's less to confuse you, you know. So but obviously, just from my point of view, when you get the weird combinations, like somebody asking for a DMR or something like that, you know, with the MK0 you have to build a DMR and say you don't need to put it in single shot, even though technically it'll work in full auto. So so yeah, I like the customization that comes with BTC. And the last option would be hard wiring, hard coding, whatever, single shot mode. Okay, now some sites, personally, I don't see, you know, I think it's way too anal if somebody's you know, nitpicking you know, the fact that technically in the field somebody could program it out, you know, a full auto, you know, into you know, single shot mode, you know, into full auto. So somebody's got a full auto DMR at high power, you know, that is just tinfoil hat crazy. That is, you know, nobody's going to be out there and suddenly reprogram their gun and take it out of thing, you know, to abuse that thing. And even then, you know, you've got your rules in place. You know, one, you know, most sites often mark up DMRs, yeah. So if you see a DMR spamming, yeah, so crazy on the trigger thing, and it's got a bright thing on the barrel, you know, that signifies it's a DMR build, you know, you know to shout at that guy and say stop spamming the trigger. And it's the same thing as if he's doing full auto. So so it's a complete non-issue in my opinion. So so yeah, so yeah, it's, I think, you know, computer programming single shot is absolutely fine. So, but it offers the hard option. So basically, you solder over a certain bit or desolder, and basically it is no way to take it out of single shot at all, right? So that may well keep, you know, some sites happy, but I'd argue if they're complaining about the computer thing, you know, they're so far gone, if you know what I mean, that you trying to explain that to them probably won't help anyway. So or they wouldn't believe you. So you know, they want to see, you know, a giant nail going through the side of the lower receiver. You know, no, it absolutely has to not go, you know, into the anywhere near the full auto mode. You know, so you know, like I say, tin hat crazy. So so yeah, so there are all the benefits of the BTC. So I'd have to obviously put it above MK0 and DTM because of obviously that visual programming. Performance is going to be the same as MK0. You're not really sort of going to gain in that area, although like I say, I did feel like MK0 had faster rate of fire. But the performance, trigger response, obviously amazing on BTC. The problem is with BTC is obviously, which we touched on earlier, is the crazy prices, the inflated prices. So because it was the only one and the best for such a long period of time, because there was only 100 per year for the retailers, you were even finding inflated prices at retailers, Eagle6. So yeah, so basically it was, the problem is it was a great unit, yeah. So and if we got rid of them really quickly, at a low price, we're shafting ourselves for our custom builds. So somebody comes up to us and says, "I love that M4 over there, but I need it to be performance and I need to have a MOSFET in." And then we've given our ways, for peanuts, and obviously at peanuts price that I'd argue at the high point of them being popular, people were buying them from retailers, so at inflated prices, and then selling them on eBay for nearly £300 for these things, right? And obviously from a manufacturing point, you're talking, 10, 20 quid per board, so it's not including the labour for obviously, any of the extras and stuff and the time that comes there, but, that's, and then for £300, wow. So basically the inflated price is almost semi to sort of stop people abusing it, so I mean we could put a restriction on, who's sort of buying, one per customer type thing, but in the end we just decided to keep them for us, so maybe a little selfish, don't know, so but at least now we can help our customers out, if you know what I mean, with custom builds and the best thing, MOSFET, at the time, so it's basically a great MOSFET. You're just going to have to decide between the MK0 and the BTC, because I believe they're currently at 180. Now that may change as and when Gate comes out, and then Gate affects the BTC and the market. Maybe the bottom will fall out of it. Maybe people will get the Gate and then think to themselves, well, do you know what? I still prefer the BTC. So we don't know until because we didn't get a test unit for the not salty at all. Yeah, so. We didn't get the test unit for the thing, so I can't really tell you on that regard. So, so they're the benefits of the thing. Obviously, we know sort of you got the MK0 at 120, you got the BTC at nearly 180. Yeah, so yeah, big price difference for a few extra features over MK0. So definitely, if we're on the budget, the MK0 still is in there, and offering perfectly great performance for a budget price. Yeah, okay, so and you may even see, not saying anything, right, you may see it come down even further, so possibly because Gate and now we move on to Gate's Titan MOSFET, which has obviously been out for a long while for normal V2, but now it's coming out for obviously next gen TMs. So they've brought their thing is a sort of business model, we'll call it, is to have a basic version, and a advanced version. So the difference being what comes inside the box and firmware. Okay, so basically think of the basic, okay, as in the box you just get the MOSFET, okay, and you've got no sort of cables from, if memory serves, right, to sort of program it up. Okay, you've got no little USB adapter to plug it into your computer. All right, so that makes it kind of like difficult, to actually sort of program the basic one. I'm pretty sure it doesn't come with anything. I might need to double check that. Right, so it becomes basically basic. Okay, so I think the concept is that it's kind of like an OEM product, like you're buying a CPU for a computer without the fan and without the fancy box and stuff like that. So that kind of like, we, with the workshop can obviously then install it, and then we'll program it for you, and then, you've kind of then got, all the benefits of a trigger MOSFET, and, all at a very, very low price. I mean, for normal V2, you're talking 60 odd quid, 70 quid. and for next gen, because obviously next gen they know it's not going to be sold on the level that the normal V2 is, but they need to recoup their R&D and stuff like that. So you always find next gen stuff being priced slightly more. So because remember, we're just not looking a gift horse in the mouth. We're always grateful that people are doing products for next gen. Yeah. Thank you. So, to all the manufacturers. So we're so obviously it comes out and it's sort of I think the idea is that we install it and we set it all up, and then it's only £96, I think 99, I think, on our website, available for pre-order today. So it's £96 puts it below MK0, okay, and you're getting the same functions almost as MK0. So you're getting, obviously, removing the main thing, which is lockups, yeah. So you're removing that mechanical, old school, gearbox parts, right, and then you're fitting electronics, yeah. So it's not to say electronics are invulnerable, but you're removing a big failure point right there. The potential for any lockups at all, and then it just will not happen. So then you've got obviously the fast trigger response. So and obviously increased rate of fire. All the sort of benefits that come with a trigger MOSFET. Now people say to me all the time, especially when they're buying our custom builds and stuff. They're saying, "Oh, I don't want a MOSFET. I don't want like high rate of fire and all that sort of thing." I'm like, "Well, it's not that. It's not for that, yeah." And it's like, and some people will buy like a level 10, sort of internal build, like just like £500 worth of internal Prometheus parts and stuff, to upgrade their gun, but they won't buy a MOSFET, and then you ask them, they're like, no, I don't need, all the fancy, fancy. I don't need all the fancy, trigger response and programmable 3-round bursts, so that's what it is. I don't want 3-round bursts and all that fancy shit. So it's not about that. It's about the fact that you will never ever suffer from a lockup again. Yeah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Yeah. So it basically. It also allows you to run smaller batteries, yeah. So you don't need to put the massive battery power plant in there, and you can even get away with things like obviously the Magpul stock conversion, where you run a little 1300 batteries or even little 1100 milliamp batteries, and you can still get an amazing trigger response without that sort of affecting because of this MOSFET, yeah. They are an absolute must, yeah, for any owner in the upgrade path, okay. So absolute must, all right. So you're getting all of this, right? The only thing you're not getting is a lot of features, right? So I'm pretty sure. I mean, the best thing to do is obviously go on the Gate Titan website for the most accurate description, because obviously I'm taken from memory here, and I'm live on camera. So yeah, it's not live, but you know what I mean. So basically, you got. Pretty sure you don't get any of the sort of 3-round burst stuff. I'm pretty sure you can't adjust like the rate of fire adjustment. I don't think you can adjust trigger timing. So you can't make the trigger a bit faster, a bit slower, anything like that. Basically no options would be the best way to describe it, yeah. So really limited. The thing is though, is obviously what they're up to is they want to trade you up, yeah. So they want you to sort of go up to that and pay that extra money and stuff, and it's quite nice actually that you're sort of buying this unit and you aren't sort of stuck with that unit. If you wanted to and you decided later, you can actually go on their website and just pay for that firmware upgrade. It's really nice actually, yeah. So sort of people knock it all they like, but that's kind of nice that you're not sort of then having to remove that and then fit the advanced, so and then if you want to, you can buy the bits that are in the advanced box separately, yeah. So I'd argue for power users and techs and the advanced one's obviously better because you get all the customizations and stuff like that. But if you're just going up to a workshop and you just want them to install just a cheap MOSFET, but you're on a budget and stuff like that, the Gate Titan is going to be tough to beat. At 96 quid, it's going to be tough to beat, isn't it? You know, so I mean, if you're looking at bare minimum for a next gen to sort of remove any chance of lockups, you know, to get the power up, you know, to a competitive level, you know, shifting, you know, 2.8s and 3s ammos, you know, to sort of maximise your range. You know, you're sort of looking at the bare minimum for a next gen gun. You're looking at a Dean's conversion if it's an M4 submod. You know, you're looking at a basic, you know, a MOSFET of some description, yeah, to sort of, you know, get rid of your lockups or your potential chance of lockups, and you know, you're looking at a spring, yeah. So so those sort of three are sort of the bare minimums I would go to if you're ordering a next gen. Right now, obviously, you can buy the gun as stock and run it and go and enjoy your day. You know, you don't have to absolutely maximise these things and stuff like that. You know, but think of it as untapped potential, and you can, you know, so just, you know, if you're on a budget and you just want, you know, you don't want like the basic, but you do want some upgrades and stuff, yeah, definitely prioritise the Dean's conversion. So it just allows you to put normal batteries in your stock, so it removes that proprietary thing, our particular conversion, and the way we do it. We try to utilise the original TM goodness as much as possible, and obviously the cool, you know, stock feature that removes bunched wires and all that sort of thing, but yet still offer you, you know, the convenience of Dean's and the performance gains. So the obviously the next bit would be the MOSFET. You know, people complaining about lockups. I mean, I'll go over lockups in a separate question and stuff, but basically, you know, that removes the chance of lockups ever, yeah. And I would say, if you're to decide whether you want to do that, is look at your gaming style and play, and you ask yourself, right, is it something you suffer from? Yeah, if it's something you suffer from, yeah, do it. If it's a brand new gun, right, look at your budget, okay? So ask yourself, can you afford that? And if you can afford the MOSFET, which one should you go for? Now you've got this massive choice, yeah. So which is obviously what we're trying to help with today. So so I'd say definitely, if you're on a budget, look at that basic, yeah. So look at the Gate Basic or the MK0. So both of them, you know, are going to be equally great MOSFETs to have in your gun, yeah. So and then obviously remove the main thing, which is lockups, right? And then the next thing would obviously be a power spring. So because obviously to get your power up, you know, to more competitive levels, we'll call it. So to really maximise your range and your ability to use heavier ammos. The hop unit's amazing on the next gen, and you know, you just don't need to replace it. You know, not like you do a normal V2. It's just great, and it gets so much lift and backspin that you're just not tapping into the potential properly if you're running 2s or 2.5s, yeah. So you know, switch up to 2.8s, 3s, or even 3.2s, yeah. So and obviously to shift those kind of ammos, you're going to need, you know, more than 290 feet per second. So so you want to get that extra 60 in there. You want to get as close to your sight limit as possible, you know, to sort of, you know, so you don't see a massive drop in speed to target. Yeah, basically simple as that. So they use sort of three bare minimums and stuff that you sort of want to be looking at. So so yeah, so the basic really has a good place, and I think it's coming out of the gates flying at that price. So so obviously the advance comes with all of the options, yeah. So it comes with every single thing is checked. You can customize it all, and a big thing that is different over BTC is that it has the adjustable trigger. So it's almost actually the only sort of difference really. Otherwise they're kind of the same, you know. So because of the optical sensors that are inside it, bearing in mind I've never seen a switch fail on the BTCs, not on the Mark IIs anyway. So worrying about switch failure is not really an issue. So you know, what is optical sort of offering? And the thing is, for me, what I like about the Titan is, one, the software. So yeah, it's a little bit inconvenient going onto my PC, although I believe you can obviously plug it into the phone as well via the cables and stuff. But obviously once it's connected up to that PC, what you can do is, when your gearbox is in a completely basic, you know, just straight out of the gearbox state, and you've just finished installing it, you don't have to build the gun all the way up to test it. Yeah, what I like about it is you can then take that gearbox, stick a Dean's connector on the end of it, on the wiring. You can then take it over to your PC and you can run through all the tests on it to see if everything's working, all the sensors are operating correctly before you carry on. Yeah, I like that. I like that just from a point of view of a gun tech sort of view on it. You know, it saves us time, yeah, which is great. So, which we're always appreciative of, you know. So, so I like that about it, that you can sort of go through all those tests and stuff and get it all set up before you carry on to sort of the next stage, yeah. So, yeah, so that's good about it. Obviously, you can then, once the whole gun's built up and it's in the lower, with all Titans, you need to program the selector and you need to program the trigger. Okay, and these are done in the third tab, I think, of the Titan menu. You go in there and you calibrate the both of these, which is great because actually, you know, there was one gun that had a problem, and I was able to get around its selector problem by ever so slightly moving the switch and then calibrating at a different position, and I was able to sort of cheeky get through it, if you know what I mean, via their calibration process. So it was very, very, very good. So obviously a benefit of optical sensors there, you see. So very progressive design. So obviously with the optical sensors, and what they're toting about this new next gen is that you can customize this trigger more. Okay, so you can sort of really reduce down the travel time and how fast it activates. And apparently it's got even more customization now than the previous Titan even had on a normal V2. So with this new sensor design that they're using. So I mean, I hope that Titan bring one out for the normal 74 series and G36 next gen. It'd be really nice to see that. I mean, they've already, it basically is V3 in those, yeah. So the V3 fits with some tiny, you know, filing of the actual, you know, gearbox shell. So they could probably, I mean, they probably would have to do a different, you know, actual unit for it, but I know for a fact that the sensors don't work, yeah, on the don't detect the sector gear. So I'd love to sort of see a new sort of one, you know, just a variation on the V3, just slightly, you know, changed for a better fit with this new style sensor on it. And you know, I reckon in a very small period of time, for very small R&D costs, they could probably bring another product to the market, and you got all of those next gen AK owners with you know, the you know, wanting a MOSFET, you know, to remove that lockup in the AKs, the 74 series and the Recoil G36 series, yeah. So because there's about 9 different guns if you count up all the AKs and all the G36s. So it is and then obviously that times that by however many customers they own them, yeah. So yeah, not as popular as M4, yeah, but you know, Gate, if you're looking for a new product, the way to go, yeah. So yes, that's yeah, that's the benefit of the thing, the adjustable trigger. Definite benefit. Obviously the visual programming, you've got that on there, so you can see everything. You can customize your settings with little tick boxes. Don't forget, it's also got like the leaderboards and stuff, you know, with the advanced one, so you can sort of go on and you can compare your gun. Not that recoils are about rate of fire, so but I don't know actually what you'd sort of use that for, but I don't know, enlighten me. Feel free to put a reason down in the comments, but yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. It's a thing. So yeah, what else do they have? I think that's about it in terms of the benefits. You know, you're still going to have all the options that the BTC is going to have. You're still going to have the quick trigger response. It's just slightly customizable. And yeah, all the same. I'd say yeah. So the difference then, price. So the Titan Advance is coming out at $149.99, I think. So available for pre-order today. Yeah. So that's coming out, and at $150. Obviously BTC still at $179.99. Now BTC's obviously got that tried and tested, yeah. No salt there at all. So tried and tested, sort of. You know, we know that works. We know that is great, and it builds fantastic guns with a BTC Spectre in there, so Mark II. That's tried and tested, but I think as of not possibly this batch, but possibly the next batch that comes out, maybe next year, because I think they come out sort of this time every year, maybe. Who knows with BTC? So, but yeah, it's not like they send me a message saying, "Hey, we've got a batch coming out soon. Would you like to buy some?" No, not at all. So yeah, it's obviously cheaper, offers all the same features, as BTC. Not the Bluetooth, right? So I haven't got the BTC's Bluetooth, so you would have to obviously plug in a cable and take it to your PC and stuff like that. So I suppose you haven't got that sort of, I'm at the gaming site, not unless you get that cable and have a phone that's, because what about iPhone? How does it even plug into that iPhone adapter? So is that a thing? So yeah, it's food for thought. That's something I should look into, I guess. But I'm pretty sure it's Android only. I think because of the USB-C I think they use now, or is it, or whatever, the old style USB one. So that's a bit of a weird area, isn't it? So I don't think you've quite got that on the move that you have on the BTC thing. So obviously BTC still got its highlights. That app is really, really good for BTC. Really convenient to use when it works. So yeah, it's remember, obviously, if you get a Bluetooth problem and it doesn't work, you can always just go with the manufacturer. So that's obviously something to think about as well with each product, right? So if it breaks, whether it's you or whether it's the MOSFET, can you get it repaired? They're expensive things, aren't they? So has that retailer, because obviously the manufacturer is what actually holds the warranties on these things, not the retailer. It really shouldn't be the retailer's responsibility, even though 99% of them will step up and help you out. Technically it should be between you and the manufacturer. So the same thing as if your TV broke or something like that, or your washing machine. You'd phone up, who the hell makes one washing machine? Hoover? Don't know, whatever. So you'd obviously phone them up and say, hey, my machine came with a 1-year warranty, it's broken, can you please come out and fix my washing machine? And then they come out and fix the washing machine or give you a new one, don't they? That's between the manufacturer and you phone that number that's on the sticker on the side of it, don't you? Now you probably could go to Curry's and bring up a thing, but do you really need to? Because the number's on the side, you just ring it, and hello, new washing machine, thanks, so, will they come out and fix it? And obviously if you then didn't get any results on that, you'd then go to the retailer, wouldn't you? So with regards to MK0, I think at the moment the retailers are sorting it out. I haven't managed to get any of mine replaced yet, though I believe it is a possibility, if you know what I mean. So I can send them off, and I think they would swap them over. So, but at the moment I've been swapping them over. So just from a retailer point of view, and just sorting the customer out in that regard. So I've just got a box of them, but I don't think that would be a problem. So at the moment, with regards to MK0. You aren't going through the manufacturer, I don't think. You might be able to contact them and they might be able to sort you out. So, but at the moment you're coming back to the retailer, despite all that shit I just said. So, and then we'll sort you out, if you know what I mean, with the new one, and then hopefully eventually we'll be able to get them swapped for the new batch or whatever. So, and then we'll be able to get them back out to you. Okay, obviously with the new one, and I suppose there's an inconvenience there, but I'm pretty sure MK0. Despite having the 2-year thing on there or whatever, I'm pretty sure they'd have you back. I haven't tested the fact, or if somebody short circuits one. I haven't figured that. Sort of found out really if MK0 is going to back that up. I'd like to think they would, and I'm pretty sure they would. So, and hopefully they wouldn't sort of kick up a fuss about they're short circuited. We're not going to cover that. Think about how cheap, from a manufacturer point of view, these are, and how much profit they're making long term selling these. You don't want to risk, for the cost of whatever that is to repair that 1 in 100 units, having that shit reputation. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure they would back that up, especially since all their competitors are doing that. Okay, so BTC. We've got an address. Okay, we can, if you contact us, we'll happily give it to you. You post off the BTC units to this address. It's in the States, okay? It costs me, personally, about £4 more than what it would sending it to a UK address. to send it off, okay? So you're talking about £8, yeah? So not breaking the bank, okay? Especially if you've just broke your own unit yourself, all right? You send it off to this address with a note in what's wrong with it, and you know, you return your email address, your return address, you know, name, details. Don't just send an empty box. You know, you wouldn't believe how much that happens with our returns department. So me, yeah. So yeah, so basically, you know, send off all these details in this box, yeah, to, you know, BTC via that address. Don't go down the route of, I mean, you can send an email and say, you know, I'm sending this in, and your name, and if you want to, for good measure, but as long as you send it off with all the details in the box, right, I guarantee you, right, never not had this happen, right, BTC will send you one back, okay, in about a month, okay, and even if you've sort of muddled it yourself, yeah, they will usually replace it with a brand new unit. They have an absolutely outstanding warranty support, despite what is on the internet. I don't reply to my emails, I don't know what to do. End of the world, right? If you're in the know, if you know what I mean, so which now you are, yeah, you can just send it off to them and they will just replace it. I've never had an issue, yeah, not at all. I mean, one time it took maybe a week, maybe 5 weeks, you know, and I did send an email. I was like, mate, where are those units, you know? So and then they just flow through the door next week, and I was like, oh, hey, brilliant. So it was on it, so I didn't need to bother him with an email. So yeah. The BTCs, they have a fantastic warranty support, so and like I say, hopefully MK0 is going to have one as well, but I suppose it's a non-issue for you guys because we're sorting you out, but yeah, hopefully we'll recoup that in the long run, but yeah, BTC, great warranty, which is I suppose another feature, and it's really great to know obviously that you spend, you know, that £180 and you're not left out in the cold, yeah. So that if shit does happen for whatever reason, or Bluetooth doesn't work, or whatever, that you can send it off, and there's a little inconvenience there, you know, but I need that BTC in my life. If I send it back, I won't have a BTC. Yeah, you know, just take your gun back to a workshop and get them to do it, you know. So we'd send it off, yeah. We you know, usually we've got some units going back every now and again. We sort of wait a little period of time, then we send sort of a box back, so maybe just tag on to ours, you know. So you know, if the £8 is really that big an issue, so yeah, so you've got that. Now obviously gate, right, we haven't been dealers for very long. I do have a one single faulty Titan, which I haven't. So I mean, that's actually quite cool, actually, that we've only got one single faulty Titan ever, and that was I'll be honest, damaged by us, yeah. So that was because it was a normal V2, and there's so many different guns out there now, yeah, that are V2, but they go their own direction, yeah. So they're not following the TM standard anymore. They're their own sort of, you know, beast. And the actual trigger was a lot wider than normal V2 triggers. Yeah, so it's just wider. So we had to actually, in hindsight, now we know after we broke it, but it was actually wider than the actual Titan board, right? So or the same sort of size, right? So basically, the moment we put the top board on, pulled the trigger for the first time, it knocked all of the light sensors off. Yeah. So and it's like, you can't prepare for it, shit like that, you know. You've just got to roll with the punches, yeah. Now, if you were an at-home gun mechanic, you could be like, oh, my Titan was faulty out of the box, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not. So you broke it. You just don't know why you broke it, yeah. So I mean, you know, luckily we're obviously, you know, awesome, yeah. So therefore we know, yeah, figured it out. But yeah, basically we end up having to file Dremel, yeah. We proper Dremeled that back, and obviously made it much thinner, because once you go trigger MOSFET, you're doing the calibration, so it doesn't matter how small that trigger goes, if you know what I mean. So we reduced all the height much further down, and made sure the bottom was obviously high enough as well. And then after that modification, we then fit a new Titan, and everything was fine after that. So we've still got to go through the warranty with Titan. So again, we haven't tested their new Titan, so we can't really tell you performance. We're just assuming it's going to be awesome, which sometimes MK0 doesn't work out that way in that first batch. So we're assuming Titan's going to be good, so just bear in mind that when you're doing your pre-orders for Titan, when you're on the forums, groups, you know, BTC is shit is worse, Titan's the best, Titan's the best. You haven't used it yet, you don't know, do you? So so until that actually comes out and we get the testing and we, you know, there might be a software fault and you can't actually use it for the first 3 weeks. You don't know, do you? So until it actually comes out, or we actually get one for testing, yeah. So you know, wow, miracle. We can't really sort of actively do that, and therefore, and also, just from my point of view, you guys obviously might have a different experience and be able to comment below in the the comment section. You know, we're always happy to have knowledge. Send it my way. Yeah, I eat it for breakfast, literally. So if there is, we haven't actually experienced, so I can't tell you for a fact what the warranty is like for the Titans and getting them sent back. So until we try and return this one, and this is like the worst case, yeah. So this is a unit that's physically damaged by the customer, yeah. So me, yeah. So if can we get this replaced? Yeah. So think of us as a customer then that spent this was a basic, right? But so 80 quid, right, on a product. Can we get a replacement of that, or can we get it repaired? Yeah. So this is the big question, isn't it? So we've Titan at the moment, and let's assume, right, the positive scenario is obviously Titan turn around and say, yep, we've just please send us the top board and we'll give you a new top board and we'll post it out free of charge to you. That's your perfect situation. Then you've got somewhere in the middle which is well, you've broke it, really ideally we'd like you to pay for a new board and then and possibly postage, yeah. So that would be like in the middle, and then you've got your worst case, they don't reply to any emails, so and you kind of just stuck in limbo land, potentially forced to then go back to your retailer and fight the fight there, basically. So which is obviously going to differ between retailers, isn't it? So yeah, we're guessing. So I would love to think that it's the first one. It's the absolutely post it off to us. So all you're out of pocket is the postage fee, and then they sort you out with obviously the new board, repair it, whatever. Yeah, send it back to you, and you're good to go again. Because at the end of the day, most of the time for most people, it's not necessarily about costs, right? It's about whether or not you're supported and somebody has your back, yeah. So if you're left hanging, yeah, in the cold, and you've got no way to recover this unit, and it's just basically a really expensive paperweight, whatever the product, or guns for that matter, that's when we're pissed off as customers, yeah. So because you just want it going again. You just want to play airsoft, yeah. So it's when people try and stop you doing that. It's yeah. So it's definitely food for thought when you're thinking about these 3 different products, their support, and just bear in mind that obviously everybody's raving about the thing, and obviously they are a great price. They're very expensive price. I mean, 150 is still a lot of money, isn't it? So for the advanced version. But obviously you got that budget one at 96. Wow, that's wow, that's good price. So yeah, it's So I think overall then, which is the best? A very difficult one to answer now between BTC and Titan, isn't it? Just going over these features, they're almost borderline, the same between these 2 features. So which one is the best? The Titan, given the fact that they're both the same, almost, yeah, is cheaper. Okay, so if BTC comes down to the same price, right, as the Titan, okay, advanced, I would say they're both level pegging. It's just whether or not you want the Bluetooth functionality or whether or not you want to do everything on the PC, okay, and you want that sort of optical trigger. I mean, the BTC's performance is awesome, so it's hard to imagine something better than that. So obviously, I'd love to sort of test, yeah, in the Titan, yeah. So you know, to sort of, you know, speak more accurately, if you know what I mean, on the on that trigger. But yeah, theoretically, you know, if that comes down in price. So at the moment, I'd have to say, apart from the fact that Titan isn't out yet and we have no real confirmed, well, we've got a confirmed release date, but no actual in-stock date. You know, that they're running, I think, 6 to 8 weeks behind at the factory, they told me via email, that on all orders, right? So theoretically, it releases on the 8th, and we're not actually going to be seeing it until sort of mid-December. Then we've obviously got Christmas shippings affecting that as well. So potentially, you know, you're looking at a mid-December release, maybe early January release, you know, for actually, you know, unless you got maybe the clout of the big stores, you know, they might be able to sort of, you know, get in a bit quicker than us being a sort of smaller retailer. So yeah, it's you got to bear in mind that obviously BTC is out now, yeah. So whereas obviously Titan isn't. So obviously when Titan and, you know, BTC are equally out, and Titan's out also in enough quantity, because if people as a new product are just buying everything on the shelf, there's going to be none available. So again, I mean, the prices are never going to go up because it's different from BTC. The prices are governed by gate. I mean, you could lose your dealership if you start putting silly prices on. So yeah, so the price is never going to change for gate, and that's obviously a bonus. You know, they're also, in theory, shouldn't ever go too low because they've got minimum things as well as maximum things. So yeah, it's yeah, you may be quite hard to get them. So for a long time now, BTC Spectre is not going anywhere. Yeah, it's still a completely great product. And still offers fantastic performance. It just comes down to that price, and whether you want one now compared to whether you want to wait until Titan comes out. Okay, so that's the current situation for Titan. Obviously, this is as of Sunday 28th, 2018. So yeah, things could change in 5 months. Yeah, so it could completely be a relevant video by then. Maybe there's another MOSFET on the market. Yeah, who knows? So yeah, so that's gone over everything. I believe we've covered over every single yeah, sort of positive and negative. Apologies if it's been too long. I don't know if this is going to be something you guys want. It's been crazy long. We was meant to do 5 questions. I've done 1 question. My mouth's dry. I thought, I need a drink. So I've been chatting too long now. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, if you could, what you think to the whole thing. Whether I'm just, you know, whether you don't like what I'm saying, whether you like what I'm saying, whether you think that it's way too long and you just flicked off after 2 seconds, whether, you know, the format is good. You know, was it good answers? Was it good talking? You know, is it something you want to hear from? Me personally, just as my hobbies, I am somebody that likes to sort of absorb info, so I'll read paper magazines, you know. So obviously with Airsoft you can buy Airsoft International and Action Airsoft Action magazine, which we have in store and available on our website. And both of these are great reads. And obviously, you know, we know Tom, if you know what I mean. So a great guy. So yeah, it's yeah. I love this sort of information and absorbing this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's yeah. So no, sorry, I lost my train of thought then. So yeah. So I watch a lot of, you know, read the mags, and I watch a lot of films, YouTube videos, and I read books and stuff, and anything when I'm into something, I'm trying to absorb as much thing. I mean, even when I'm walking here every single day to work, you know, I'll have YouTube on, I'll be watching either Airsoft videos or whatever else I'm into. You know, you're just trying to absorb as much info as possible so that you can effectively and correctly, you know, reply to people's questions like this, you know. So yeah, so obviously I've talked about a lot, but hopefully I've been throwing out good info for you, and obviously for those so inclined, you know, to get answers to questions and that sort of thing, hopefully you've sat through this and hopefully you've got some good information from it. But just feed me back that info, because it's our first episode, and yeah, I want to know sort of what you think to it. Also lighting quality, sound quality. You know, I think I watched the Red Wolf one the other day, and people were just berating they got mental about microphones. Oh God, I didn't know people were so passionate about microphones. So yeah, so that was funny. So yeah, let me know. Yeah, let me know what you think, and I don't think we'll do any more videos on this one, so I'll probably call it quits now, because wow, yeah, super long. But I promise, obviously next Sunday I will address all of the other questions that came in, and I'll write them down. I'll make sure they're ready for next week, and obviously if I do them a bit quicker, maybe, then I'll obviously do as many as I can in a sort of, without going, you know, more than an hour maybe. Yeah, so if that's possible for me to do a conversation in less than an hour. So hopefully you like the format. I kind of pinched it from Airsoftology, yeah, so you know, 100%. You know, I do, like I say, I watch YouTube videos everywhere, and they do some great videos over there at their channel, so obviously feel free to go over there and subscribe to them, and yeah, feel free to subscribe to us obviously as well. So obviously hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification thing, so obviously as we release new videos you'll be able to get a notification. It will message you to let you know. I'll try and also upload this on Facebook as well, so you've got the option there. I don't know if it'll take videos this big. I mean, this is going to be like 5 gigs or something like that, so obviously 4K and whatnot, so so you can see my beautiful face, yeah, and yeah, in all its glory, not so yeah. So let me know, and obviously subscribe, like, feel free to visit our store. So obviously we're a small business, so any support is always appreciated, even if it's in just the form of a like on our video, or even, you know, buying something, much appreciated. So and hopefully eventually, if this is successful, we might do some like patches or something, just to kind of like help support this specifically, because like I say, we're having to do this, or I'm having to do this in my spare time, just because I don't want it to affect our day-to-day, you know, at Eagle6, in terms of you know, pick and packing, and obviously customers walking in, and you know, phone calls, obviously our workshop, you know, because we're obviously every single day we're having to do obviously gun builds, and people are ordering guns off the website, new builds and stuff for us to then build, you know. Obviously people are sending us guns in, which we obviously had to put a bit of a stop on at the moment, just because of how busy our workshop is, obviously we've got walk-ins, people dropping them in, you know, because we obviously have to support our local player base, you know, because somebody shouldn't have to drive for like 50-60 miles when we're on their doorstep. So yeah, it's yeah, busy time. So obviously I had to do this in my sort of spare time. So obviously a subscription at the very least, would, you know, subscribing to the thing would be great. Obviously if you appreciate it in the long term, then feel free. It'd be great if you could let somebody else know we exist, maybe. So we're obviously a small store, you know, we're not these huge other stores, if you know what I mean, that are out there. So and there's some, you know, massive stores out there. So we've just got a little shop, you know, in a little town, and we just do, you know, I'd hope, you know, a really great job, and our customer service hopefully shines through and stuff, and people like us in that regard, and you know, we seem to have a little support, which is great. So and yeah, so hopefully people appreciate us and this, and you like it. So great, right? So yeah. I think we might be done. So yeah, let me know how it goes, or what you think, and thank you very much for watching if you've stayed till the end, and yeah, I will see you next Monday, because this is released on a Monday. So thank you very much.